I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Call the meeting to order. And the first thing I'd like to do is welcome our new counselor, Larry McDonald. Welcome him aboard.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Kevin, good to have you.
We should have a good time.
All right. So the first order of business is public announcements, and the details may be found at www.fairfieldme.com. In December, council begins reviewing appointment applications for upcoming volunteer positions on local boards and committees, including the following: Budget Committee, Planning Board, Land Use Board of Appeals, Economic Development Committee, Board of Assessment Review, Voter Registration Board of Appeals. If you are interested in serving your community, please complete an appointment application form available online or at the town office. Appointments are made by the town council January annual organizational meeting. Number 2, 2023 dog license tags are available at the town office. Current licenses expire on December 31st. And number 3, Christmas at Lawrence Public Library will feature December 1st to January 3rd, lighted Harry Potter Village on display. December 12th to December 23rd, holiday gift tree for children while supply lasts. December 15th, 1 to 3 p.m., holiday refreshments for adult patrons. Okay, number 4, starting this year, Fairfield Police Cops Care for Kids program will now be in person at the Fairfield Community Center. December 15th and 16th, sign-up details available at fairfieldcopscare.com. That's all one word in that, and we actually just went through that. It's beautiful in here. They did a spectacular job.
Yep.
You need kids to come down here and really see it.
Tremendous job, and there'll be a lot of happy kids.
Yeah.
Yes, there would be.
Non-emergency town services will be closed on December 23rd through December 26th and January 2nd in holiday observance. All right, moving on to our second order of business now. Public hearings. And has the manager overviewed Zoom protocols to participate?
I would, but we have nobody on Zoom.
Okay.
So,
To hear public comments on an application for a special amusement permit renewal for the purposes of entertainment, music, and dancing submitted by the VFW Post 6924, located at 246 Main Street in Fairfield. I will declare the public hearing open. Those that wish to speak must sign in and give name and address. Is there anybody here for that? Okay, I declare the public hearing closed. Number 2, to hear public comments on an application for a special amusement permit renewal for the purposes of entertainment, music, and dancing submitted by Joda LLC, doing business as Meridian's Kitchen Bar, 166 Main Street in Fairfield. I declare this public hearing open, and those that wish to speak must sign in and give name and address. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak? Being none, I declare the public hearing closed. Number 3, to hear the public hearing renewal request for a marijuana dispensary license. The Cheese House Incorporated, located at 5 Pike Drive, Fairfield. I declare the public hearing open. Those that wish to speak must sign in, give name and address. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak?
The owner is here if you have any questions for him. This is a renewal.
Yeah. Yeah, good, okay. Well, nobody wishes to come up, so I'll declare the public hearing closed. Number 4, to hear public comments on proposed amendments to the General Assistance Ordinance. I will declare public hearing open, and those that wish to speak must sign in, give name and address. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak on that public ordinances? There being none, then I will declare the public hearing closed. Moving on to third order of business, This is public comments, limit to 3 minutes. Members of the public may speak to the council or request an opportunity to speak on a specific item that is on the agenda, or may email comments to the council at info@fairfieldme.com by 4 p.m. the day of the meeting. Submitted content may be read aloud at this time. Is there any submitted content? None. There being none, I will declare it closed. Fourth order of business, reports from staff and committee. Town managers report.
Okay, so November 28th through December 2nd, I had previously scheduled a 3-day vacation that actually turned into COVID, so I was down for the count for that week. And then on December 6th, I did meet with a developer regarding a new website platform for the town, so that's very interesting. Staff are starting to look into that as well. Economic Community Development met on the 6th, which Councilor Thibodeau will fill you in on. And just a couple of updates for you. One, you should have received a memo tonight regarding NIMS training opportunities in January. Let me know when you, and if you are able to attend any of those. And then also, First Park did close on 2 lots on November 30th. They were sold to Meyer Tool. If you're not aware, Meyer Tool is actually the owner of B&B Precise Products in Benton. They're a machining company. So they hope to start construction next year. So, and that's it.
That'd be excellent. Okay. All right. Committee reports. Stephanie.
Well, the Economic Committee met, and we had 61 surveys for Mill Island Park, and that's inclusive of the 6 zones. So it doesn't mean 61 people, it just means 61 surveys were completed for the 6 zones. So we've talked about how we're going to handle this, and we're going to take the information, and we're going to have an open house, probably end of January, 1st of February. Invite people to come in. We'll have maps laid out for people, and we're going to iron out more of the details when we meet again in January. So that was, I'm very optimistic about it. KV-COG is making the maps for us.
Good.
And so things are moving along. Now, we have one little glitch that we've got to handle, and that is there's 3. Once Peter's on the board, there'll be 3 of us on the Economic Committee. And according to our bylaws, we cannot have 3 counselors present at a meeting.
Well, it becomes a council meeting.
It becomes a council meeting, so we can't do that. So we'll have to make a decision in January as to who's going to have to step down.
Okay.
So, but we'll handle that when the time comes.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, I would just second Stephanie's, report. I think we got some really good feedback. And I think the open house will be definitely good for people to see what's going on.
right.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and we'll have it's going to be an active open house, so they're not
Right.
coming in just to listen to people, but we expect people to go and actually participate with
yep.
the activities that are going on. So,
Sounds
that's
great.
it.
Any other committee reports? No? Okay. I declare that one closed. Fifth order of business is a consent agenda. Now, these items are considered routine or standard business and therefore will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion for these items unless a council member so requests prior to consideration of this portion of the agenda, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and then considered on the next agenda. Item 22-131, ordered that the town of Fairfield hereby waives a reading of and accepts the minutes for meeting 2022-19 held on November 16th, 2022. And item 22-132, ordered that the town council hereby approves treasurer warrant number 77, general fund, in the amount of $616,595.37. Not limited to, but including MSAD 49, MMA, and motor vehicle, and KSTD.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Carries full. Okay, sixth order of business is that to take action on the following items of business as read by council chair. Item 22-133, ordered that the town council hereby approves a renewal application for special amusement permit submitted by the VFW Post 6924 located at 246 Main Street in Fairfield.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, questions?
No.
Ever? No? All those in favor? Carries full. Item 22-134, ordered the town council hereby approves a renewal application for a special amusement permit submitted by Joda LLC, which is doing business as Meridian's Kitchen Bar, 166 Main Street in Fairfield.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All those in favor? Carries full.
Other than I have to get used to your voices being in different places.
Ordered that the town council, item 22-135, ordered town council hereby approves a renewal application for a medical marijuana dispensary license, the Cheese House Incorporated, and authorizes the town manager to sign and submit the corresponding Maine Office of Marijuana Policy, Maine Local Authorization Forms in accordance with Fairfield Land Use Ordinance Sections 6.4A and 9.20 and state statutes.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor? Carries full. All right. Item 22-136, ordered that the town council hereby adopts and updates to the general assistance ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, concerns?
So generally, the changes are referring to,
So these are the DHHS state updates, and there was some language clarifications. The primary substantive changes were related to recovery residences and immigration. As it becomes more and more prevalent in the state, they needed to give statewide guidance to all the welfare directors for state and
Yep. Okay. Anybody else? All those in favor? Carries full. All right. 22-137, ordered that the town council hereby authorizes the town clerk to issue a blanket letter of approval to the Fairfield VFW Memorial Post 6924, located at 246 Main Street, to operate bingo, beano, games of chance, and cribbage for a period January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, concerns, or anything? All in favor? Item 22-138, ordered that the town council hereby authorizes the town clerk to issue, oops, I'm sorry.
No, you're
no,
right.
you're right.
I think I just presented that one.
Nope,
Yeah?
it says the same thing. You're right.
Oh.
It's just different place.
Oh,
First was VFW, the
VFW,
second
this
one's
one's
the
American.
oh,
American
this
Legion.
Legion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Ordered town council hereby authorizes the town clerk to issue a blanket letter of approval to the Grover Hinckley American Legion Post 14, located at 86 Main Street, to operate bingo, beano, games of chance, and cribbage for a period from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor? Carries full. All right. 22-139. Ordered that the town council hereby confirms the manager's appointment of Mackenzie Marson as animal control officer effective 12/1/2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or?
Was that the new appointment that the chief had talked about, or?
I'm not sure if you
Back off.
mentioned it at the last meeting or not. So our current ACO that we had resigned. This young lady is actually a co-worker of our former CEO. They both work at the Skowhegan Animal Shelter.
Okay.
And so our former ACO is helping to train this new individual. I think it was a job conflict or something like that. Like she was taking a different job and wasn't going to be available. Tom, the chief was hoping to be here tonight, but he had a family situation and couldn't make it, so he would have given you more information. But she's a nice young lady, and met her the other day and has already hit the ground running and taken calls, so.
Oh, fantastic, thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor? Carries full. All right, moving on to our 7th order of business, which is council workshop and other business. And that, number 1, is to discuss our annual organizational meeting. We've got municipal officers, municipal and state requirements, protocols, and annual reminders.
This basically just gives you the opportunity to review these documents, because any amendments and stuff that we would, if are thought of, or things that need to change, that will happen at your next meeting before you actually adopt all of these things. So this gives you an opportunity to start that review process.
Right, we've got 4 from down there: code of conduct, executive session, FOAA, and records disposition, town council administrative policy, and variances on boards and committees. Does anybody have anything to say on any of those? Any questions, et cetera?
I do have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir, go right ahead.
And it was just pointed out to me, I didn't notice it, but a couple of citizens on the, and I don't want to start right
That's all right.
off on the wrong foot.
That's fine.
But on the public notices for the, and I assume it's just an oversight on the upcoming vacancies for you.
Right.
It's in committees.
Right.
The footnote that's way down in the bottom concerns some people. And I printed it off so everyone could see what I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
So if you look on the second page, and the reason for the concern more than anything is it was the feeling like it discouraged people from applying and wanting to get involved, which I would assume is the last thing we want to do, is discourage anybody from participating.
Where'd this come from?
It came right from the town's website.
I didn't get any.
Yep, I'm sorry, I should have passed one more, I'm sorry.
Oh, all right, from the public notices?
Yeah. And it's on the second page down at the bottom. It's just a footnote that I'm sure was just an oversight, but it was kind of brought to my attention, so I wanted to talk about it and see if we could take that off or how we could address this.
Public notice.
Because they was of the opinion that it would discourage some people from wanting to participate.
Right, so, yeah, so, Michelle, I can read this out loud.
Well, I've got the website up now.
Right, so exactly what part are we looking at, Larry?
Way on the bottom, there's a footnote.
There's a note on
No,
the
the
bottom.
town of Fairfield meets federal criteria
Correct, yes.
for employers over 100. I'll read it, I'm doing it. The town of Fairfield meets federal criteria for employers over 100 per forthcoming federal state regulation. Proof of COVID-19 vaccination is anticipated to be required to serve in municipal capacity by time of appointment in January.
Yes.
So when, we have over 300 subpages on this monstrous
Right,
website.
right.
And I'm the only admin, and I overlooked that note.
Right, and I'm not pointing
Yeah.
fingers at all.
No,
I just-
no, I overlooked it.
I
It
just
actually
wanted-
is an oversight.
I-
So had somebody brought it to my attention, I would have deleted that
Right.
immediately.
Okay, so-
I have to just republish
tomorrow.
things year after year.
Yeah.
Forgot all about it. I'll be honest, that's my oversight. Had somebody brought it to my attention, it would have already been fixed.
And I didn't notice it either.
Yeah, no,
But
it's...
it was
it's an-
pointed out to
yeah,
me.
I'll fix it.
And then I thought maybe we should talk about it
Okay.
and get it removed if we could.
Very good.
Yep, thank you.
Because like I said, the last thing I think we want to do is discourage anybody from participating.
We were required to post that previously.
And that's what I
It's-
assumed. It was,
Yeah.
it was old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that's my mistake, I
So
apologize.
that will be removed.
All right, thank
Thank
you,
you.
I appreciate that.
Okay, and Moving on to number 2, discuss other council business. Start with Stephanie.
Well, I have a list.
Oh,
It's end-of-year concerns.
okay.
Shouldn't those be brought up in January so that it covers the entire year?
Well,
You just don't want to be here.
no. But anyways, it's,
Okay.
my first concern is the rising of the taxes. And increasing in, the increase in salaries, it's going to be inevitable. I mean, McDonald's is paying $15 an hour. I'm very much concerned as to our state of affairs on our budget. And we know 3/4 of a budget is going to be salary, benefits, that kind of thing. So I would really like us, as we get going on the budgetary process, Michelle, that everybody, and I know you're doing this already, but I think all of the departments need to be very much aware of the situation. It's hard to find people to come and work for us. I know just that article in the paper for the Waterville Police Department made me more anxious as to what's going on. I would really like us to take a look at major capital expenses, and maybe for emergency use only. I don't think it's in our benefit at this time with the state of the economy to make large purchases because of maybe a 5-year plan. I think we need to be cognizant of what's happening around us. I also think that we need to reevaluate in December of 2023 how the budget went for this year because of all of the salaries and the costs of what's going on. It needs to be more of an active discussion. We do it in January, we have the budget meetings, and then after that, we have the budget report part of the council meetings, and we always see the big lump sum as we did today, and I just think we need to be more cognizant of it. The other thing I would like to have us do is have an audit done of all departments, and I think we need to do a needs assessment in all departments. We need to reevaluate the necessity for manpower, for supplies and building maintenance, and from there make adjustments to what is absolutely necessary. So I don't know when the last time was we did an audit of all the departments. I don't think we've done it since I've been on board, and I think it's a healthy thing to do.
They were done prior to my arrival, but I think they were only done on the department buildings and not the departments themselves. Those are normally done by outside firms.
Yeah.
They're not done internally. They cost a substantial amount of money.
Right, but I think we can
research.
We can do it ourselves. I don't think we need to have it formalized, but I think people need to know, what's working, what's not working, and...
Right. But the issue you usually have is that if they're done themselves, of course, the police department or the fire department or public works or the town office are all going to come back and say, well, we need absolutely everything that we already have plus more, as opposed to an independent audit that would say, well, no, if you did something differently, it would look like this.
Well, I think I think we can, if we're cognizant of our state of affairs, we can do this ourselves. And I think we need to give our employees the benefit here.
So I was trying to look up also, you kept saying our rising taxes. Our taxes have not gone up in over...
Municipal taxes.
Your municipal taxes have not gone up in over 5 years.
5 years.
Right, thanks to some very good budget.
I was like, our taxes are not rising, they've gone down.
Right, but there's
Not a
going to
lot,
come
but they're
a
going
time when push comes to shove,
Where that
and
will
something's got to give. And we can't control the county's tax on us, we can't control the school department's tax on us. But what we have done, and thanks to you, we've kept a line on the budget for taxes. And I'm afraid that, salaries are going to be taking a hit for us this year.
Well, we can't control inflation either.
And we can't.
To,
But, what are we
make a
capable
difference.
of doing?
yeah.
So Stephanie, I just asked for clarification. When you say an audit, are you talking an audit of salaries? You talking an audit of their budgetary process in each department, or are you talking about an audit of capital equipment? Or
Salaries is negotiable, and that's done through negotiations.
Right.
So you're looking at manpower. How many people do we really need to do the job? We've got, well, I'm going to just think about the police department. We have our police department, we also have the sheriff's department, and we have the state police. And we should be relying on the sheriffs and the state police because we pay taxes for them.
They will not respond here unless you pay them extra, unless it's a
Are
state of
you
emergency.
serious,
No.
Michelle?
So Madison, so think about the town of Madison.
Yeah.
They got rid of their police department. They had to contract with the county for continuous coverage. They will come, it could be 45 minutes, 3 hours, 5 hours before they will arrive. That's the way that works. The county doesn't have enough staff, and neither does the state police. If you think about the size of Somerset County, to cover the entire county and to provide the kind of police coverage that we have right now. So if you think about the number of times we want a officer to go, I mean, and this isn't necessarily a other council business debate kind of thing, right? This isn't
Yeah.
something you would schedule for. But if you think about the number of times we get speed complaints on Norwich Walk Road and you want them to go run traffic for you, the county and the state police are not going to do that unless you pay them to have an officer here to do that kind of work. That's not what that kind of coverage is for.
See, I'm not looking at getting rid of our police department.
Right.
I'm just saying we need to
And
utilize
they don't
what we
respond
have around
because
us.
what we have here is what's responding.
Huh.
So they only cover if we are tied up and cannot respond to something
Wow.
in an exact emergency.
Now, I agree with a lot of
Yeah.
what you're saying, Stephanie, I do. What I'm not sure of, because this is all fairly new to me, is how the budget process works. Are the managers involved in the budget process? We'll say like Chief Gould, for example. Is he involved in the
Oh,
budget
yes.
process?
Yeah.
Okay, because, and again, I'm going to just use the police department, I'm not picking
Yeah.
on them, I'm just kind
Yeah.
of following up on what you said. Part of his job, he knows exactly what he needs to run that organization. That's his job, he's there every day,
Yeah.
you know, where we're not. We have to rely on the managers
Right.
and their discretion. So to me, if we want to hold the budget as has been done in the past, like last year, there was a 0 increase
Right.
on the budget. Tim Martin did a great job as the chairperson, and there was no increase, which in reality meant it went backwards 3% because there's an automatic 3% cost of living increase that's built into all this stuff, and he was able to hold that. So he really went backwards, which is commendable.
Yep.
Now, again, to the police department, and I don't know the numbers because this is all new to me, but the way to hold the budget in line and the taxes in line is to get with the department heads and say, look, you got $10 million last year, you're going to get 10 million this year. You're not going to get 9, you're not going to get 11. Run your department the most efficient way you can with this amount of money and plan on it. The same as everybody does with their budgets at home or in a business or wherever. And I think if you give these people, whether it's the police department or the public works, let the managers manage and let them place this where it does the most good for them, everybody wins.
And Michelle does do that. You know, she
And I
talks
know
with
you
all
do.
of the
But-
department heads.
Right, because, believe it or not, and this is where we differ, salaries, believe it or not, do not drive employees as much as it has in the past. And the reason why I say that so quick, ask on a Friday afternoon, who wants to work over? Who wants to come in on Saturdays? They all say no. it's not the salaries so much, it's that they're appreciated, their input matters, and they feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. And again, by approaching it that way, you accomplish that, and you haven't spent a dime.
So there are two things there, I think, and one of them is, there has been a discussion in the past, and looking at the budgets, especially as things get tighter, like, this is what we have to work with, and you need to start budgeting backwards based on, this is what we expect our, you know, our taxes to raise, and then budget from there, rather than budgeting and then setting our taxes.
Right.
So working backwards, just like you're talking about. And the other one is, I would agree with you, and if you have your base needs met, then everything else actually gives you more reward. The problem will be, are the base needs met?
Right,
You're talking
and
to
the
our-
managers will know that.
Right.
And, I mean,
And other towns will tell us
Right.
too, because all of a sudden, if you have Waterville trying to hire,
Right.
And they say, well, we can pay $10,000 more, then that's going to, is your base need met enough? that'll be the
and I think it
discussion.
will, because you have to factor in, you know, quality of life, quality of job. I mean, you know, Fairfield hasn't had any robberies lately,
No.
okay?
Knock on
Waterville
wood.
should pay more.
So we just had break-ins, and
Right, but
they
I'm-
just don't hit the paper. You don't hear about
You know
them.
what I'm saying? I mean, they robbed the bank in the Goodwill within a week. Let's not follow what Waterville does. Let's think out of the box and do better than Waterville
Yeah.
does. In all these surrounding towns, we really and truly can do this.
Right. Michelle?
So just to clarify for the budget process, and you can come in and we can talk more about this so that we can further explain exactly what happens with the budget process. So if you look in the back of every town report that's out now, there are the spreadsheets for every department budget where it's line items. So what happens is with the department heads is they go through their department budgets, so much so that they even go through, so say, here we are at December, they're gonna take a look at what was their last 6 months of phone bill, what was their last 6 months of electric bill, what's that average out to, then multiply that by 12, and do we know that there's any kind of increase coming? So there's those sort of pieces that they do. Also, there are, you know, at least 3 departments that where salaries are governed by union contracts or potentially union contracts if we think they're going to be up for negotiation in that year. And they do all of those pieces. What do they need for vehicles? What's the age of vehicles? What kind of maintenance could we be looking at? What do we know we need for maintenance inspection? So that every single line that's in that budget, those department heads look at and go over. And then we meet, the department heads and myself meet, and we finalize those budgets. And then it comes to the town council, and you do the same exact thing. The department head will come in, they'll meet with you for at least a half an hour or so to go over their budget with you so that they can explain, answer any questions you have. And then usually it's a couple weeks later, the same exact process happens with the budget committee. So the department heads come in, they meet with the budget committee, they go over those budgets line by line, all of those pieces. And then at the end, you have the budget that the council has approved and the budget that the budget committee has approved. And by law, because you have a budget committee, you have to have their recommendation and the council's recommendation on every town warrant. And then those come together. And usually, for the most part, for the last several years, they've been pretty much matched up. There can be some subtle differences here and there, but, and then the highest amount is usually what goes to town meeting. And we'll get into that process as we go along through all of that. But the department heads, we've already started those conversations about what does next year look like? What is our revenue gonna look like? What are those, you know, what are all the extenuating circumstances, one-timer, nuances, that kind of stuff. And we start that process now. That budget will come to you probably within the next month to month and a half. And then we start with the council
Right,
process.
and I do understand how most of that works.
Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't been involved in it,
Right.
but kind of,
Yep.
and like what Matt said, you know, I'm just suggesting that for your concerns, Stephanie, and everybody should be concerned, maybe it would be real easy to say, look, this is the number, make it work.
If I could interject just a bit here. You could take like Public Works, for instance. The town of Fairfield residents have gotten accustomed to a certain level of performance. If you go around in the wintertime, there's a distinct difference between Waterville and Fairfield if you drive into Waterville on the roads.
Agreed.
If that level, can we get away with less than what we do? We probably could. Would the residents be fine with that? That's another key component when you're looking at a budget, is the residents of the town of Fairfield willing to take a reduction in property taxes with a reduction in services? Most of them want the reduction in property taxes without a reduction in services. They've come accustomed to a certain level.
Yep.
And a lot of them will scream bloody murder if it's not maintained at that level.
And I'm not saying a reduction in taxes, I'm not. I'm just saying, hold the line where...
Or even holding the line. If holding the line prevents us from getting another vehicle that we need, or bringing on another staff member to maintain, there's so many variables in place that even sticking a number to it is
Go ahead.
almost impossible. That's where the whole budget process comes into play. It's like, are we at this level of dollars going to maintain the level of service that we are currently providing? If it is, then great, we'll stick with that number. If it's not, then we may have to up it. But a lot of us will answer to the town of Fairfield if services are not provided to the level that everyone is accustomed to, as just a variable that you have to throw into that equation beyond
Right.
the dollar amounts.
And I understand that, I do. But obviously, Bruce knows how to make that work. We don't. I don't, personally. I mean, I don't know whether they have to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning and plow the roads, or 4 in the morning. You know, I just don't. But I know when I get up and go, the roads are normally plowed, and they
Yes.
do a great job.
Yes, they do.
And I'm a big believer in letting managers manage.
I think that's the biggest point in all of this, and the budgetary discussion is, but I think the managers do a good job. It's our job to ask the tough questions and ask if they can do with a little less, or where can they make the cut, but I think we do need to trust. We're lucky to have great managers in each department.
Exactly. And I agree with that 100%.
Yep.
Which my thought is that alleviates a lot of those worries.
Yeah.
You know, we just,
Well, no matter what, we're looking at some tough times coming up.
What are we?
but
What are we? Maybe,
Maybe,
right?
maybe.
Maybe, that's a big question. I think maybe.
I mean, you don't have to take my word for it, but what you're talking about is something that we do every
Yeah,
single
we do.
budget season.
Every single time.
Nobody ever walks into it and say, nah, maybe I'll just up it for an extra 20, 30,000 this year and see if I can get it. I mean, that's not
No.
what
And
any
I
of
know
our
that they
departments
don't,
do.
but when I look at salaries and knowing that,
That's
you know, if we're going to be paying our workers more in salary, but what happens to the department head? What differentiates it? You know, this is all
You have to
playing
raise
in
their
my
salaries
mind.
too.
Yeah.
You
So-
should raise their salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. So,
So I hate-
and
I mean, I hate
that's
that
what
you-
my biggest concern is.
raise the ugly word, because I know there'll be backlash, but there are ARPA funds sitting there still.
Yeah.
So you can, that's, remember, they're sitting there.
So, those are my, as I said, concerns for council discussion. Economic development for 2023, continue with the waterfront plan. We'll create the plan, but we also have to start thinking of a capital campaign to put everything in. We should be seeing that by the end of the year. And I would also like for us to consider creating a citizen-led group called the Friends of Mill Island Park that can help with future activities. I'd also like to think that during 2023, we as a council can have a discussion on creating a Parks and Recreation Department. Maybe, and this is in light of what's happened this fall, discussion centered around having a teen center in town. I know growing up, if you didn't do sports, you didn't do anything. There was nothing for kids. There was PAL when I was growing up. So that's one thing. And of course, improving Main Street. We have no vacant, people always say, when are you going to do something about Main Street? It looks terrible. It's looking better to me, and all the buildings are owned. We have one place, the Ellis land near the fire department. Maybe this will be the year when we can have something going in there, and Mr. Ellis, it will build to suit. Community development, I would like to see, there's a possibility, as Michelle mentioned at our last meeting, that the Festival of Trees will be coming to the community center for next year. We're also going to be doing Trails Day the first Saturday in June. I'd like to see maybe that become a yearly event. But again, you need people to come in and do this. It takes people to support a community. And it's one thing to have ideas, but it's another people to get involved. And lastly, bring back a cabin fever reliever for the month of February. It used to be the Chocolate Fest. But if we could get people to come and participate and be willing to try something, start out, it doesn't have to be big, something small, but we're willing to work with people. And I would like to see more community involvement in this
we need
manner.
to bring in more volunteers.
Yeah, so those are my concerns for the end of the year of 2022. I'll have something else at the next meeting.
Okay.
I have a plan.
Michael, do you have anything?
I am good at this time.
Matt?
So I think Stephanie's list is a very ambitious one, but I think it's one we should actually look at and try to focus on each one of those. I think those are wonderful, so I appreciate those. I think there are some issues. You look at, actually, Michelle can speak better to that, but you talk about, like, everybody says, oh, what's going on in downtown? Like, it's actually all full. We don't have vacancies, contrary to most people's opinion, other than we have some places for sale, but all those storefronts. So, I mean, those have been changed, and Michelle, you can actually speak better to that and just like inform, like, hey, they're owned and under our zoning right now. It's been changed, so in the future, you'll have to have commercial, mixed residential commercial.
Correct. So we changed our land use ordinance probably about 3 years ago now, so that if you were in the downtown district, you could not change your first floor commercial space into residential space unless you could prove that you could not turn a profit with it being a commercial space. So there are options. It wasn't locking everything out. But no, the downtown that everybody talks about, which is the strip basically from like Big Apple down through to the train trestle, there is no vacant space for folks to rent. Everything is full. If there is space that is empty, there are building owners that prefer it to be empty. We have tried to convince them to open up that space for commercial development, but that is not happening. And we can't make them, right? So, I mean, as long as they haven't turned it into an apartment, there's nothing really we can do about it, and it can stay vacant. So, yeah, I know a lot of folks do think that there's nothing going on downtown, but there's actually quite a few, and every month you get an update of the number of new businesses that do open up in town. A lot of them nowadays are home businesses. It's easier to operate out of your home. That's one of the things that COVID taught us, as opposed to opening up a storefront, but for a lot of businesses. But no, there's no vacancy as of right now on Main Street.
And I think some of the things that you're talking about we need to think about. Fairfield actually has an option right now. I think if we look in the long term that we're a walkable downtown. We look at our parking, and there's a lot of opportunities as we develop going forward, we can do that. So I think I saw it happen in the Mid-Coast growing up. Camden was a town that was very affluent. Rockland was the working town. And if you go to Rockland now, you'll see the change. And while it might take a while, I think we think proactively and think about our future. Things are going to change in Waterville, and gives us a great opportunity. Rising tide lifts all ships, and I think that will really help us if we plan appropriately. So I think it's a time to bounce off some ideas that you're talking about, Stephanie, and start thinking about those.
Thank
so
you, Matt.
I think that's huge. So I appreciate that. I want to say thank you for Mike Taylor for being an excellent board member, and I enjoyed working with you every meeting, and always calm and with some great questions and comments. So I appreciate that. So I will miss your presence. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Matt.
And it's a little bit overdue, but I also want to congratulate the Lawrence Girls Field Hockey Team for winning the state championship. So that was a nice achievement for us, and so I want to make sure that they are make sure that everybody knows about that.
Absolutely.
So that's what I've got.
Okay, Larry?
Okay. Well, obviously, I'm the new person here, but I just take the opportunity to thank you all for your vote of confidence, and I appreciate it. I'm a business owner. I've been self-employed for a long, long time. Lots of times, I'm used to getting my way all the time. Lots of times I get very aggressive and opinionated. I don't mean any offense by it, so please don't. I'm here to work with all of you. I really am. And it's okay, just to kind of say, look, we're all pulling in the same direction here.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that I've learned over the years, Larry, is municipal government, it's slower than cold molasses. So it just takes a long
It is
time
the
to get.
It
inventor
is.
of red tape.
I'm gonna- Maybe we can change that a little bit if we all work together.
Well, yeah,
Wouldn't that be fun?
time is something.
And there should be at the forefront of our minds, I think this next year too, we will continue to see issues with water. So we would need to, that always needs to be, I think we understand there's an area of focus, but I think there's so many other things get pulled up. It should be always our primary focus, because I think that's our lifeblood, as well as SAPI and the dam. So I think those are two things that we need
Yeah.
to make sure we are cognizant of this
They're not
coming
on the
year.
back burner, they're just not very loud right now.
Right.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yep. Okay, and I would just like to take this time to thank Mr. Taylor for his long, hard work that he's done. And we're going to miss him on the council.
Maybe a little, but not too much. Thank you, John.
And, no, it's been a real pleasure working with you for a number of years.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, all right, that's it, moving on. Now, I've got a note here, next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, December 28th, 2022, to be held as a hybrid meeting via Zoom in council chambers at 6:30 PM. That may not happen, as depending upon how much
You
stuff
have
we've
business
got.
scheduled at this point, so unless there's
Yeah.
a tragic storm, I don't see that meeting's going to be
Right.
canceled.
It's very
We
might
we
not
will have a quorum. You plan on being?
On the 28th, yes?
Yeah, nobody's
Oh, yeah.
on vacation. Yeah, it's Christmas week. People
Yeah.
could be on vacation.
No, we'd have a quorum,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
And if it's a necessary meeting, we will have it.
Yeah, I think, I don't think that, we'll let you know.
Right. Okay.
Before we close, the applications for board members?
Yes.
Are those be held for until next meeting, or where does those?
You don't do anything with those until you do your appointments at your organizational
That's what I was-
meeting. You
that's
just get them well in advance for review and
Right,
that kind of stuff.
review them.
I'll try not to lose them.
Well, we'll always bring extras
There you
just
go.
in
We
case.
have
The final deadline for this, you have a policy, the submission for the town clerk is actually Monday. She's been giving you what she's been getting as they've been coming
Yeah.
through. So there may very well be more at your next meeting
Excellent.
in the
Thank you.
future, but that's what we have so far.
Right.
Now,
And-
when's the deadline for people to submit applications?
We don't have a firm deadline, but it's nice to have everything by the beginning of January, because I have to put together your organizational meeting packet, and that's a really big packet. It's a lot of prep, so it
Bring a
helps.
good pen.
Yeah, a lot of signing. So it helps me to have
Yes.
everything to give all of you, because I have to email all of that content to you the week prior. So we tell folks by the end of December typically is best case scenario, but the Wednesday prior to the meeting is last call.
And truthfully, we will take appointment applications, or applications for appointment anytime,
Yeah,
right?
all year
If-
long.
If somebody decides, wakes up one morning, that's it, I want to be on economic development, or I want to be on the planning board, or whatever, we will always take their application. There's not an open window timeframe, and we just keep them on file until the next vacancy comes. We just try to get stuff together for you for your
I
next
see.
meeting, for that meeting in January.
So you have more applicants than these?
You have everything as of today.
So you don't have any on file, like previous ones?
No, everything that we've gotten, you would have had, or they've already been appointed to something that they were
Okay.
looking for.
I see.
We don't get a wealth of them, but that's why we
I
encourage
make a
people
lot
to
of
do them
phone
all the time.
Make a lot of phone calls. Do you want to serve? Do you want to be considered for reappointment?
So you do, you reach out to people and really,
I post it, I put it on bulletin boards, I have it at the elections, we put it everywhere.
We've had years, we've done posters, we've done everything.
and the reason why I asked more than anything, there was, what, 5 other people that wanted this seat that I'm sitting in. I wanted to make sure that they was contacted and
Wow.
asked about serving in some other capacity on some of these.
They were told that
Committees.
night that these vacancies would be posted and available. Adam Lorette did apply. Mr. White indicated he might be interested, but hasn't followed up.
Max Kinney has applied for a few
Max Kinney has
things.
applied.
Yeah. So they're aware.
Yep.
And I did hear you state that at that.
I can't remember who said it, but somebody said it at the last meeting.
You weren't here at that meeting.
That's right.
I was in New Orleans,
Okay.
but I
That's
was
right.
watching it
I remember.
on Zoom.
Yeah, we talked to them after.
Yeah.
It did come up.
And-
Yeah, we think outside of the box when we try to get folks involved.
Okay.
It's very difficult sometimes, though, to get folks to want to
Yeah.
volunteer. These are, many things we do are unpaid when it comes to the boards and committees.
Oh, yeah, I get it. It's a commitment, and
Yeah.
I just,
Public service.
if we can get more involvement, it's a good thing.
Yep.
Well, if all of you could share our posts, right, Michelle? So when we post something on our Fairfield Facebook page, so Michelle and I both do those posts. Michelle does more than I do, but when it comes to some of these, if you all could share them on your Facebook pages, that would be very helpful for us. Thank you.
Super. Okay.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
So at this time, we will, council will recess to sign all documents that require the signature of council members.
So moved.
Second.
We're in recess.
I wrote down.